Call the Mentor City Council special meeting, amended agenda for Tuesday, August 21st into order. Councilman Donovan will read the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Judy, call the roll. Julie. Sorry.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Ms. Dowling?
Here.
Mr. Kirchner?
Here.
Mr. Krieger?
Here.
Mr. Landig? Here. Mr. Marne?
Here, Judy.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Approval of the minutes for special meeting July 3rd, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, read the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Public hearings, we have none. Table legislation, none. New legislation, ordinance number 18-0-069.
An ordinance to authorize transfers of funds and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of the council, this ordinance does two things. Firstly, it authorizes a permanent cash transfer out of the city's general fund to two different purposes. Firstly, to fund the self-insurance fund for $1.5 million. That's an estimate of the second quarter claims and fees. And also it transfers $11,057.05 to close out a grant. Second part of the ordinance is an extensive appropriation revision for several funds, as noted in the staff memo, totaling just under $500,000, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of the noted items. I would recommend approval.
Council.
Thank you.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner? Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, read the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig? Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-069 has been approved. Ordinance number 18-0-070 as amended.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Hastings Air Energy Control Incorporated for the purchase of a Plumavant exhaust ventilation system.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we're happy to bring this to council because this is a workplace safety issue in each of our 5 fire stations. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Searles, but I think it's important to point out up front that 90% of this is being funded by a FEMA grant. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Mr. President, members of council. As you know, in order to address safety concerns about diesel exhaust in our fire station, we applied for a FEMA grant, and we were awarded $202,110 to purchase the vehicle exhaust system for all 5 fire stations. As the staff report indicates, we went to bid on May 25th and received bids from 2 vendors. A committee from the Fire Department and Public Works Division were tasked with seeking the best bid for our fire department needs, and after visiting nearby fire stations and viewing both systems, the committee found that MagnaGrip was not compliant and reported that Plumavant is believed to be the best and better option for health and safety reasons. It's worth noting that Plumavant is well under the grant amount, as the city manager mentioned, and the city's amount for matching funds will only be 10%. It is therefore the city's recommendation, Fire and Public Works, to award the bid to Plumavant as they're deemed the best bidder, and that the city manager be authorized to enter into a contract with Hastings Air Energy Control of New Berlin, Wisconsin, to cover the costs, which are not to exceed $195,943.88. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Wait, hold.
Proving that Judy and I can get rusty even after only a few weeks off. We had a reference to 1 million that needs to come out because it should say 195,000, which it does. So if you would amend this.
Sure.
And then go forward, thank you.
Move to amend.
Second. Julie?
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to suspend as amended.
Second. Julie, read the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve as amended.
Second. Julie, read the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-070 as amended has passed. Ordinance number 18-0-071.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Sutphen Corporation for the purchase of one 1,500 GPM fire engine and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'll turn this over to the chief momentarily. This, again, is a replacement for an engine at Station 4. I think it should be noted that this comes directly as a result of the levy, the fire levy that was passed as a replacement. So now that that is been supported by our voters, we have the ability to move forward with some much-needed replacement capital equipment. Chief Searles?
Thank you, Mr. Flippia. Members of council, as you know, we need a new fire engine. We tried to get one more year out of engine 1114, but had no choice to retire from service due to mechanicals and other problems after 25 years of service. As the manager mentioned, we are fortunate for the fire levy because it will allow us to purchase a new engine for fire station number 4, and then engine 1143 will go into reserve status. As the staff report indicates, we evaluated several manufacturers of fire engine, and we were pleased to learn that Sutphen was the lowest price because we feel that's the best engine. Most of our fleet are now Sutphens, and they have served us well. So based on the above, the recommendation is to purchase another Sutphen out of Sutphen Corporation in Columbus, Ohio, at the Ohio State term schedule for the purchase of $514,932.93, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Council?
Move to suspend.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-071 has been approved. Ordinance number 18-0-072.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Classic Ford of Mentor for the purchase of 8 2019 Ford Utility Police Interceptor vehicles and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. And one of the appropriation increases the council approved a few moments ago is for some additional vehicles in the police department this year. We had originally budgeted for 5. We're asking for 8 replacements this evening, and Chief Knight will explain why momentarily. We do plan on reducing the number that we will have in the 2019 budget request. Chief?
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, members of council, in the 2018 budget, $205,500 was budgeted for the 5 new marked police vehicles. This year's purchase of a 2019 model year will be the last year Ford is producing a gasoline-powered Interceptor vehicle. Starting in 2019, which would be for the 2020 model year, the Interceptors will be hybrid vehicles. We do not have a final formal cost on these new hybrids, but it's been suggested that they could cost up to $5,000 to $6,000 more per vehicle, more than the gas-powered vehicles we use now. Also, with the 2020 version of this car comes a new body style. Depending on what will fit and won't fit, could add up to another $2,000 to $3,000 per vehicle for upfitting needs. At this time, Ford has not committed to continuing to produce a gasoline-powered version after the 2019 model as an option. And as with any new product, there are bound to be unforeseen production issues with the new vehicle. For these reasons, I request purchasing an additional 3 patrol cars this year and plan on only buying 3 hybrid models this year if that's what's available. By doing this, we can assure the vast majority of our vehicles in our fleet are functioning as designed, and only a small portion, 3, would be the new vehicles at that time. In 2020, when we purchase 2021s, it will be the second year of production for those vehicles, and hopefully most of the production issues will have been worked out. We'll also be able to use much of the existing cruiser equipment on this year's purchase, since the body style isn't changing until the 2020 model year. Ford's been changing the model to body style almost every 2 years, which does create an upfitting issue sometimes and incurs more cost. The 2018 budget was written to include enough money to pay for those 5 patrol vehicles and 1 administrative vehicle. The cars that we're planning to replace will be ones with the highest mileage and the most mechanical issues. The mileage on these older cars are reaching the 125,000 to 150,000 mile range. By turning over 3 cars a year early than more traditionally than we have done, and with slightly lower mileage, we have 3 additional cars that'll be in better condition to be repurposed for other departments in the city to use. State bid contract price for these vehicles, including the 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty, was $31,686 per vehicle. Classic Ford has quoted a price, including the warranty, slightly lower at $31,565 each, requesting the purchase of 8 Ford Interceptor utility vehicles for a total cost of $252,520. We ask for your approval on that.
Council,
Move to suspend. Second.
Julie, read the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve. Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Councilman Meyer, no comment about the horsepower or anything?
No,
No?
I've kind of given up.
Okay.
Plus, it's going to go to hybrids anyway, so it really kind of defeats the purpose.
Ordinance number 18-0-072 has passed.
My wife's car is faster.
Ordinance number 18-0-073.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to award a bid contract to JTO Inc. for the Brighton Road Storm Outfall Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Ashurst, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Mr. President, members of council, a total of 2 bids were received and opened for the Brighton Road Storm Outfall Improvement on July 20th. Located approximately 500 feet west of Jordan Drive, the project consists of installing 337 feet of new 12-inch and 16-inch storm sewer to replace an existing 12-inch storm sewer that is more than 60 years old and deteriorating badly. 213 feet of the new storm sewer will be directionally drilled under the existing slope on the north side of Headlands Road to minimize impacts to the existing vegetation and ground above. The new storm sewer will utilize the same outfall location as the old storm sewer, which is located at the Paynesville Water Treatment Plant property on the north side of Headlands Road. Bids received ranged from a low bid of $137,384 to a high bid of $175,490, as compared to the opinion of probable construction cost of $125,000. The low bidder for this improvement is JTO Inc. of Mentor, whose bid has been reviewed and found to be in conformance with all contract requirements. JTO is experienced and qualified to perform the work within the contract. It is recommended that the project be awarded to JTO in the amount of $137,384,000. Project completion is specified for November 30th this year.
Thank you. Council?
Suspend.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-073 has been approved. Ordinance number 18-0-074.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with All For You Janitorial, Inc. for the cleaning services and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Schweikert, please.
Thank you. Bids were opened on July 27th for cleaning services for the City Hall and Police Complex. The scope of this work includes typical custodial duties such as sweeping, mopping, and trash removal. The low bid out of 3 was submitted by All For You Janitorial, Inc. with an annual price of $40,500 for each of the next 3 years. All For You Janitorial has successfully services a number of local schools and businesses, and it is my recommendation that they be awarded this contract. Thank you.
Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Question. Is this making a change in the service? This would be a different company than we've
This
used
would
in
be
the
a
past?
different vendor, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-074 has been approved. Resolution number 18-R-116.
A resolution designating a bikeway path route within the city of Mentor as US Bike Route 30 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. And council has read through this resolution. You'll know that the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, in conjunction with the Ohio Department of Transportation, has embarked on this program to designate certain routes as U.S. bicycle routes. So they have asked to designate the map that's attached to your ordinance as U.S. Bicycle Route 30, transversing the city of Mentor and other locations in Lake County and near the lake. So we would ask for your approval. And from our standpoint, this certainly can only hope to raise the profile of the importance of biking and visitation to one of the most pristine looking communities in all of Ohio.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah, if I could just ask a question. One of those designated roadways was Hopkins. Are they going to want any sort of bike lane installation, or is this for people who are like high-speed bikers who keep up with traffic and are?
No, there are absolutely, Councilman, there are no obligations that come along with this other than just marking the trail
Okay.
and allowing it to be published in various places and websites and things like that that would note it for those who would visit. The rest would really be up to us if we choose to do that.
And no projections on usage, how many bikes additional we might see, or would this be like touring clubs that would come through? Maybe.
I think it's much like some of the scenic roadways for those people who are looking to bike in Ohio, let's say, or who are camping perhaps and want to take their bikes out. It gives them an idea of what some of the more attractive venues are to do that. So, the benefit to us is just that we get into various different publications that would be sponsored by the state, this association that I believe is national in scope, as well as social media and the buzz about a new designated route. So, like Route 20 through Mentor and the rest of the country, it's a novelty for people who want to traverse, and I would assume that Route 30 is going to connect up to other states at some point.
And so Hopkins will be repaved by the time that those roadway signs go up, so it'll be
Be a nice,
nice,
smooth
smooth
road.
sailing. Great, thanks, Ken.
Anybody else? Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig? Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Resolution number 18-R-116 has been approved. Before we go any further, I notice we have a guest out in the audience here. Young gentleman, want to stand up and give us your name and what troop you're from? Well, thank you for attending. Okay, second reading, we have none. Third reading, none. Our favorite topic, the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Council, we do have one pavement open request from Haynes Construction for work related to a sanitary sewer connection at Woodbridge Lane. This is, the purpose of that is for the Menor Marsh Interceptor Project. We ask for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Thank you, council. So I know council was taking some pictures out front, and for those who might be watching this evening, if they drove past City Hall within the last hour or so, you didn't have to adjust your sunglasses. That, in fact, was a lavender fire truck parked out in front. And over the years, Menor Safety Forces have supported breast cancer awareness by wearing pink shirts in October, as well as by participating in November to promote awareness for prostate cancer. This past week, Menor Reserve Engine 1154 has been wrapped in lavender, which symbolizes awareness for all forms of cancer. The engine has been renamed Comfort 54 as a reminder from the City of Mentor that no one who fights cancer is alone and that they will always have the support of the community. Our thanks to several companies in this community that have stepped up to provide all the materials and labor and effort to get this thing underway at no cost to the taxpayers. We want to recognize Avery Dennison, MC Sign Company, and Visual Graphics for donating everything on this project, as well as Menor Fire Public Education Specialist Jerry Craddock for helping to bring this whole thing together. And I have to say, this started off as a pink truck, and then we learned a little bit along the way, didn't we, Chief? About,
Yes, sir.
Designating about all of those who we wish to include in our message of support. Comfort 54 will remain an active part of our fleet and will be present at events in the coming years to help support those battling cancer in our community, including this evening at our final Tuesday Menor Rocks concert. And we'll also be present at City Fest this weekend. And the job was so well done on the wrap that we have been assured that the wrap will certainly outlive the useful life of the engine itself. So we'll have that around for a few years, right, Chief? Did you
Yes,
want to
sir.
make any comments?
I just want to thank council and the administration for all their support. And as the manager mentioned, Jerry Craddock did a lot to pull this project together, so I would like to acknowledge him. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. President, if I could just interrupt for a second. This year, cancer touched my immediate family, and it's rough. But seeing that truck out there, it's touched me inside, as I know it will touch every family, every cancer survivor who sees it. So I want to personally thank Jerry Craddock and Chief for doing that. It's beautiful, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And some other news, the Lake County Solid Waste Management District will be holding a household hazardous waste collection on September 22nd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lake County Fairgrounds. Residents can properly dispose of a wide range of cleaning fluids, solvents, oils, etc. Detailed information is available on their website as well as a link on our website. The Menor Avenue Widening Contractor continues to work on traffic signals this week. The intermediate asphalt layer is expected to be installed beginning this week. The project completion is expected in mid-September, and I know that's a long time in coming, and we'll all be glad to see that finished up. The Marigold Road reconstruction contractor began pouring the concrete curb on the east side of the roadway last Friday. Curb installation on the east side of the road is complete, and apron construction has now started. Residents on the east side will be out of their drives for up to 2 weeks. Overnight on-street parking will be permitted during this time. And finally, we want to announce that, just to remind people that City Fest is this Friday and Saturday. It starts at 4 p.m. on Friday and goes to 11 p.m. And then on Saturday, we begin at noon and also runs until 11 p.m. with fireworks, I believe, right around 10:30. We will have a full slate of entertainment, vendors, food, and fun. These will likely be the last live band performances at the amphitheater this year. We have doing a little mix. Friday night, we have a group called That 80s Band, and then 90s music on Saturday night with the band Sudden Change. So we ask everyone to come out, and some of the last gasps of our outdoor concert series this year. And then finally, we have several new businesses that we'd like to welcome to the community. Salon Suites at 6000 Heisley Road, Clean Eats at 9385 Menor Avenue, Web Presence Guru at 7472 Tyler Boulevard, STD Law at 7471 Tyler Boulevard, Britosh at 9324 Menor Avenue, and MDM Boutique at 8806 Menor Avenue. We thank them for their confidence in our community, and we wish them the best of luck. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Clerk's correspondence.
Mr. President?
Oh, yes.
Real quick, hats off to the administration for all their hard work and the Bellflower detention/retention pond. Had the opportunity when I was over at St. John Vianney, and it's amazing how well it looks. I mean, it looks like it's natural, like it should be there. You know, something that you see in New York or maybe down by the Hocking Hills or something. But great job, and looking forward to, after what, going on 10 years from beginning to end, looking forward to seeing the Rice Project first phase completed with our grant money that we're going to receive, and get on with the second phase.
If I could, Mr. President, also thank members of council for years helping to move that off of what would it say, I guess, first base, really, because for a long time that lingered with approval issues and regulatory permitting and, you know, some trips down to Buffalo and DC and and help from our congressman. It took a long time to get that off the mark. Interesting to note, and I agree that project came out beautifully, that was actually conceived way back in the 80s. So, long time in coming, and a tremendous amount of relief. At the end of the day, when people ask, well, what's it going to do for us? You get to remind them that it will lower, really the one thing that you can take away from that is that it'll lower flood elevations out there by as much as 4 feet, which is huge. So.
Council? Okay. Clerk's correspondence?
Council is in receipt of the Menor Municipal Court month-end report for June of 2018 and July of 2018.
Commission and committee reports. We have meeting minutes for the Board of Building and Zoning Appeals, June 12, 2018, and July 10, 2018. Municipal Planning Commission, July 5, 2018, and July 26, 2018. And the Tree Commission, July 11, 2018. Old business, none. New business, none. Persons before council, we have a Mr. Ken Whiting.
Evening.
Evening. Want to state your name and address?
Ken Weidig, 5808 Hopkins Road, Mentor, Ohio.
Thank you.
I'm here, as many of you know, I'm interested in history, and I've only lived here for 72 years, and so unlike some people have accused me of, I did not drive horses and stuff like that. I will say that I have a witness, the President John Krieger and myself rode bicycles a lot, and we delivered newspapers a lot in what was the old Menor Village and Menor Township areas. Over the years, we've noticed many changes. And just living in the old village section, and I know my grandson picks on me for, I know, Grandpa, you just walk to school, and because I kid him about we didn't have snow days and stuff like that, because we didn't ride a school bus. So I started going around and talking to people, and what I would like to propose to the City of Menor, to the council, is perhaps, and you'll have to answer this question, a resolution where we register historic buildings. And this would be a voluntary thing. And in talking to various owners of property and so forth in the city, they're willing to, what I described and we came up with is, if you have a building that is historic, they're willing to register it, okay? What they are not going to do is, they're not gonna say, I won't change it, okay? But what I'm asking to do, when you make that change, register it with the city so that we have a history of your building. One of the people I talked to is an old friend that he's lived around, and I said, how old is your house? He says, it was built in 1902. And I go, oh. He says, and to answer your next question, yes, the outside walls and the roof and everything is the same. The inside has changed multiple times. And I said, that's good, but you know about that. And what we need to know is that, okay, this has been around. We've been, you know, we've had houses and we've done this. One of the things that I guess I'm the most proud of is when you get into the history of Mentor and some of the businesses that we've had and that have carried on, they've been, as I call them, groundbreakers. We had a business, a manufacturing business, and what everybody knows now is the Match Building. And then we had a company in there that had underwear, okay? This underwear was across the nation. Okay. So, I mean, we have a lot of history here. And I'd like to see if we can't do something. One of the things the other reasons why I getting into this is I work with a Firefighters Historical Museum, and when the third graders come through, I show the historical part of the museum. And I try to point out to them, why was there only one fire station in what you know is the city of Mentor? And, you know, their eyes are going back and forth. So I point out to them, when I grew up here, there was no Great Lakes Mall. Okay, it was a nursery area. And evidently, once or twice a week, I get a question of, well, what did you do? If there was no Great Lakes Mall, what did you do? And it's hard to explain to them. We rode
Time's
bikes.
up, Ken. We're probably going to have a work session on this.
Okay.
You know, we do have a list. We did have one work session. I believe you were there. We've got a list of 102 buildings, structures that go back, well, from 1830 all the way up to 1918. And that's just, you know, we don't know whether they're historic. We just know they were built in those days. So we're going to take a look at that, see if we can come up with some type of, you know, dialogue, some kind of instructions or something for designations. But we're going to work on it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Jim Stone. And again, sir, would you state your name and address?
Absolutely. Mr. Filipiak, Mr. President, members of council, my name is Jim Stone, and I live at 9595 Musket Drive, and I've been a resident of Mentor for 41 years. Our country is suffering a crisis of conscience, where police are demonized, marginalized, attacked, and ambushed in ever-increasing numbers across the country. I'm proud to say that this is not happening in our city. The tragic death of Officer Matt Mazzani has acted like a catalyst to further unite our city, which has always supported its police. Mentor has 16 beautiful, well-planned, well-kept parks that residents enjoy. In the recent past, 4 of these parks have been renamed, 3 of them after city officials. We need to honor Officer Mazzani in the same way by renaming our newest park, Springbrook Gardens, in his honor. To paraphrase Abraham Lincoln, quote, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here tonight, but it should never forget what we did here," unquote. 155 years from now, some little boy or girl needs to look up at their parents and ask, "Who is Officer Mazzani?" And why is this park named after him? President Lincoln also said in the same speech at Gettysburg, quote, "It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this," unquote. I think our residents would agree, don't you? Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Adjourn.